Hi, guys. Ricky Pope here from the Christian Nerds Unite podcast. On the show, we dive deep into our nerdy fandoms and look at them through the lens of our faith by chatting with Christian content creators and experts who love comics, science, video games, media, sci-fi, and fantasy, discovering how their faith shapes their creative work and their lives. You can listen on your favorite podcast app or find links to everything at ChristianNerdsUnite.com.
Grady Powell, host of Forged in Fire.
Kyle Mann.
I'm J. Warner Wallace.
Kira Davis.
It's Ben Adams. Hey, this is Dave Baker.
Carrie Pomeroli.
This is Mike Reiner.
This is Ethan Nicole.
This is Liam Morgan.
It's Graham Parker, the 5th GP, and this is why you should never
How I got suckered in.
I'm so embarrassed that I'm here.
You're wasting your time. You got better things to do.
never listen.
Those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Reverend and the Reprobate, a show about two best buds interviewing people they have no business talking to. My name is Lucas Pinkett. I'm a real life pastor, and here with me for the first time in in person for about a month. It's hey Big Dan, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot.
It's been a good time.
Hasn't your that's so nice to hear.
I mean, some time away has been good, but also I've been sick.
Yeah.
In dealing with stuff.
Yeah, as we heard in the last episode where we interviewed Krusty Hen.
I heard.
Yeah.
That
you were sitting in the
Kyle
stall
and I
next
were
to
in
Kyle.
adjacent stalls. It's true, too. Kyle has ongoing issues.
Man,
Thank the good Lord that I am not that long, but there's a chance that it can happen.
I thought you were just going up to check on him. I didn't realize that the contagion had spread all the way to the door of that bathroom that he has yet to leave for.
I had to get
going on 2 years.
full cleared by the doctors.
You just crawled your way on the cold tile to the edge.
The doctors, and then they went through a myriad of testing and cleansing
threw you in
rituals.
a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
But
what's been going on with you?
I mean, the same old stuff. Kirsten's still pregnant, which is great.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
I'll hear one in a second. So that's going on. Those who have been kind of keeping up with the saga of my parents over the last year and a half, Dad's got a lung scan coming up that'll let us know whether or not his lungs have recovered or whether or not he needs a lung transplant. So. Yeah, so
even
that's
up to transplant. I mean,
no. It's one or the other. It is you're good or you need a lung transplant. There's no middle ground in what this scan's going to show us.
Dang.
Yeah, so crazy stuff.
You got to cough up a lung?
No.
That's something you can do. Here's a kidney, here's a lung.
So
it's not. I know it's not.
You can, but they
you
typically don't like to do it.
You can get a part of your lung. You can't give one a whole lung.
Yeah, you can.
You can go only right.
You could go.
You want to go righty only from now on?
I think I would go left only. I feel like when I get the burning from the asthma, I would give Dad my asthma lung. I wouldn't give him.
You're still at the end of the day, you're still gonna have two,
but you're not gonna be all the way better.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're still gonna have two. I'm gonna be stuck with one.
Yeah,
I'm going strong left.
Yep. So that's a thing, and of all the things you can get transplants with, it's the one that's least amount of success, hardest on the body. So that
sucks.
That's the wonderment of what's in front of us. So it's
incredible.
That's what's been going on, and I'm butchering my own meat now.
I know,
which is
so
really
cool.
exciting.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have not gotten to that level. I think what I need first is a good sharpener, a good knife sharpener.
Yeah,
because mine are all dull as crap. I've got one that's pretty good. But
how do you not you don't own any knife sharpeners?
No, I just don't think that they work. I don't think either they work or I'm not doing it right.
Okay.
And I've
seen what kind of knife sharpeners do you have?
Well, I've seen one on TikTok.
Do you want the roly one?
Yeah, I want the one that has a magnet that you stick on the end. Then you got different level of grades.
But I want minimal effort knife sharpening.
No, I want accuracy.
Uh-huh.
I don't want we saw this at a flea market where it was on sale as seen on TV at Walmart.
Yeah?
I want a good knife sharpener.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about.
I mean, what, is it not? Is it not?
I don't care about knives anymore. I mean, I like knives, but I don't want to continue
It
talking
sounds
about
like
knives.
you do care about knives because
I do.
You don't have one sharp one in your house, and it seems to be really messing with
It's irking me.
Your culinary capabilities.
Yeah, it's irking me. I don't have any knives that I would trust with butchering.
Okay.
That's the right way to say it. If I'm butchering my own meat and I buy a big section of cow, I got to carve out 8 ribeyes, I'm going to be there a while.
So the work sharp knife and tool sharpener, that's the one that we've got. It's a little like belt sharpener that sits on your countertop, and you can just switch the grinding belts and the angles of it. And there's different levels of sharpening. There's like, oh, if you want to be a woodsman, oh, if you want this. And the sharpest level is just called bragging rights.
Good.
And the bragging rights, we've got 2 kitchen knives that are sharpened to that, and we just throw grapes at the knife, and it just cuts them right in 2.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
Do you do the paper test?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, mine doesn't do that.
Yeah. But no, you could take a raw tomato and drop it on the knives, and it just splits them wide open. You should bring a knife over. I'll show you how to sharpen it.
I don't feel like I have strong knife sharpening skills nor the correct tools. That's where I'm at.
Well, okay. Well, if you bring him over, I can show you how to use this particular tools.
Or I can buy the one on TikTok and.
Yeah, the tumbler. There's a guy, the Butcher Wizard.
Yeah.
He's got he uses the little tumbler, but only because they sponsor him. He used to just say, like, buy this one knife off Amazon. It's $40, and when it gets dull, it's so cheap. Throw it away and buy a new one. And now he's like, no, look at this knife.
There's no reason to throw your money in the trash with new knives.
Knife away, yeah.
Spend one time, 3 easy payments.
Remember Chef Tony with the miracle blades? They'll never go dull. And then 2 years later, half of America's like, this knife is crap.
All right, can I tell my story?
Oh, if you must.
Why are you being a chotch?
I don't understand the reference.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see what you think about this story.
I'm ready. Camden, are you mic on? Okay, yeah, there we go.
Are you earmuffed on? You're probably old enough.
I can hear you.
Oh gosh,
you're old enough.
Is it gonna? No, that's how we're gonna start this story.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
But it is. I think I got endless joy out of this. But it starts with the comedy shows that the church has been putting on.
Yes.
So we've seen
Moody Malavi, Kristen Weber, Isaac Whitty.
Take it away.
Now Kristen Whitty.
Yep.
Isaac Whitty again.
The Weber Whitties.
Yep. Robert Smiley has come, a.k.a. Bob and Average Boy.
He was the most recent one.
Yeah, and
upcoming.
And Brandon was also on the
Brandon
show.
Was here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember Brandon's last name?
Wadalski. But
what's Brandon's last name?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too.
Yeah,
we'll cut this part out.
No, we won't.
This is the most
he
offensive
needs
part.
to know he's not a comic we remember.
And also he's not the only Brandon that
Young.
I know. He's also not the only Brandon that I know.
Yeah, that's right.
I know like 9 Brandons.
Does the other Brandon that we
is
both
he funnier?
know? Does he listen to the podcast?
Which is the funniest?
Because
Brandon?
I don't know
the other Brandons or the comedian.
I don't know
Brandon?
how to describe him.
I don't think he regularly listens. No.
Okay.
So I think we're safe.
All right.
But we're
New
digressing.
Teeth Brandon.
No. Wait, what?
Yeah.
He was there too.
He was there. Yeah.
He's not.
But I'm just saying he's a Brandon that's there. So
for
like
sure.
if we're going to delineate Brandons, we've got Brandon
There's
Young.
other Brandons we know.
We've got old Brandon Young. We have
we have no.
Brandon with the new teeth.
Brandon New Teeth we call good Brandon. And he's the one that just got out of prison.
Yeah.
He's better than Heather's cousin Brandon. So we call him in our house Good Brandon, the one that got out of prison.
Is he better than the person who put you down on their application today?
He didn't put me on an application.
Okay, sorry.
I don't believe he expected to run into me, but that's another story.
I'm just going to drop your name and hope I don't run into you.
Yeah. Which immediate text to me. But anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to start over.
We're not going to tell that story?
I'm going to start over because I want to tell this story.
All right.
So there have been comedy shows that have happened in the church.
We have had several, yes.
There was one very recently. There's one coming up.
Yeah. Robert G. Lee and Corey Edwards.
This one was Bob Smiley, put on by the Weber Whitties.
I think it's just Whitties.
I know. I think it's funnier to say it that way.
No. Text Isaac.
Say, hey, Isaac Weber Whitty. So they put it on. They brought in their friend who's an awesome comedian.
Yep. He's very funny.
We were wanting to go kind of last minute. We texted some friends. Heather texted a couple of her friends and said, hey, do you want to go? We'll get some tickets online.
Yep. Good Brandon with the new teeth. His family
Good Brandon
came.
with the new teeth. Yep. And then her other friend, Aunt Andrea, I was going to say her name.
Yeah.
This is the story is about her.
Okay. This is a really weird seating arrangement that you guys had.
Yep.
at
So
the
I'll
show.
get there.
Okay.
I'll get there. The reason for the seating arrangement.
Because I'm back there.
Let me get there.
As we're recording the
No,
show,
you're jumping too far
I
ahead.
see the seating
I'm gonna
arrangement.
bring you into it.
And this was strange to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
the
there
entire time. Okay, cool.
So
I'm glad I'm finally getting some explanation.
So
on this.
Heather texts her and says, "Hey, we want to go to a comedy show. We're
This is
gonna
Heather,
buy
wife
this is my
of
wife.
Dan.
Yeah,
Yes.
We're gonna buy some tickets online. We'd love you to come." She doesn't get out very often. She's a registered nurse, RN.
Yeah, she's also not tall enough to do a lot of things.
Yeah,
so,
she's not.
Yeah,
so she needs someone to drive her. So she comes over and
the
the
string
first
is
thing she
holding
does,
the bricks on her feet.
The
just
first thing
came
she
loose.
does
She
is
can't
coming
get
in,
back on.
going to a comedy show. She walks in. She's all dressed up. She goes, "I dressed up." You know, she has something she normally does.
Sure,
She does
yeah,
a little, gives everyone a little twirl. And we go, "Oh, well, that's great. It's we're gonna
Congratulations.
We're gonna go get some food on the way. It's all adults. The kids are taken care of. Their people are watching them.
Which
they're hanging out.
you didn't bring your son to watch his favorite comedian. I'm just saying.
He didn't want to.
Ooh.
Also,
he had a
it
fork
was
and knife going
also,
on?
yeah, he was hanging out with all the kids, right? They're having fun.
Yeah.
Also, this is a adults' night out. We're having
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
So we get some food. We have some margaritas. I tell, or she says, "Oh, I'm a lightweight. I don't know if I can. I don't know." And we go, "Well, you don't have to, but if you want to, it's a comedy show and it'll be fun." So she gets one. We go to Buc-ee's. We sniff all the candles. We get some beaver nuggets. It's a great time. We all get.
Buc-ee's has candles?
They have a ton of candles, and they're all very funny names too.
Weird.
So we spent some time there.
Okay.
It's just that's not a necessary part of the story, but we're making a night.
You're
we're having
spending a lot
night.
of time on it for it to be just a
I'm
passing detail.
I'm telling the story.
Boy, are you.
So we're driving from Fort Worth to Lake Dallas, which is very far. We start getting
It's 45 minutes. It's like anywhere in DFW.
So we start getting closer, and she goes, "Hey, where are we going? Where's the club?" And then it dawns on me that we didn't tell her that it was at a church. So Heather says, "Oh, it's at a church," and she kind of laughs.
Yeah.
And we go, "No, it's at church," and she goes, "Yeah, haha." And so we pull up into the church, and she goes, "It's at a freaking church! You didn't tell me. I wore leather pants. I had a margarita. What are you doing? It's at a church!" She starts freaking out, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat going, "This is the funniest thing that's happening tonight. Like for sure, hands down." We didn't tell her.
Yeah.
We didn't tell her, and we didn't tell her it was at a church. And Heather goes, "No."
But like,
Of course it's fine.
sure.
In that moment, a southern lady that is pretty conservative had a margarita, put on leather pants, and her friends brought her to church.
Okay.
So I tell her, I said, "Calm down," which
Right.
is not you're not supposed to say. I said, "Calm down.
Right. Yeah.
Everything will be fine. We'll have Heather on one side, me on one side. We'll be with you. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna laugh." And she goes, "I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. I shouldn't be here." I said, "You're fine. This is a church.
gosh.
We are having fun. It's okay." So we go in, and I sit down next to her. We're having a good time, but the whole time, all through the whole show, I keep thinking that was the funniest thing that just happened in the car.
So this is why, because this is what I see
The
from the
elevator
back of
and all
heads,
that.
right? I see this row of 5, which has been completely occupied by these adults that have come without the
Children's?
the child who says Bob Smiley's his favorite comedian,
That was a long time ago
right?
too.
So I'm
Now
looking.
it's Louis C.K. It's not really. Sorry.
Well, it's, I don't
It's
know.
not
That's
really.
a great step, but
It's not really. He doesn't know who that is.
okay, good. Good. Not a guy I would give a Google to, Kale.
No.
But it's good Brandon with the new teeth.
Mm-hmm.
His girl Francais, your wife, this RN,
Her best friend.
yeah,
One
and
of her
then,
best friends.
and then you on the end, and I'm like, why is Dan not sitting next to?
I was helping
Heather?
her keep her crap under control because she was fully freaking out.
Because of leather pants.
And,
Like I get it.
And having a couple
I get it.
margaritas for a lightweight.
Yeah. She was.
And not being told that if you hang out with me,
She
and
was,
we go hang out and have some drinks, I might take you to church.
yeah, she was abnormally quiet.
Is that funny?
I thought it was
He's
pretty
laughing.
funny.
Yeah, she was abnormally quiet at the show.
Except for the elevator thing that she did at because the whole
Oh,
night.
yeah.
The
I
whole
forgot
night,
about that.
She was horrified. She's like, "Did you see me do the elevator for Lucas?" I'm like, yeah.
Okay, so what that means. So we can put a definition to whatever explanation you might have come up with. Well, that is so. I'm running the production into the show, of the show, right? So all the AV stuff, the sound
Video,
stuff, and then the
camera,
recording
sound.
and all that stuff. So I'm in the booth.
Yeah.
And
I come up to
walks
say
by
hi
the
to
booth,
you.
and the booth is elevated. Now, mind you, like we've already stated, she's not a real tall person.
No.
And so I can see like her nose and up, like Wilson from
she's
Home Improvement.
She's a Shody, but she's not my Shody.
I think those are spelled different, but you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So she pretends like she's walking down the stairs, but I looked at her
She's
and
already
she
so
looks
short.
back and she was like, do you get it? I was going down the stairs, but it was one step. She took one step and then disappeared. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I like the elevator better. And so she pretends like she
she
pushes
was-
the
she
elevator
was
button
mortified.
and then she just goes,
She was
And then I was
mortified
like, oh,
about
there you
having
go.
done that.
about that?
Yes.
It makes no sense.
I was like, "Did you see me do the elevator? Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid." And I was like, "It was fine."
Also, like, what? It's me. Like, what? That's not the dumbest thing I've seen her do.
I don't know.
I mean, not
but
even in the same
The
stratosphere.
freak out pulling into the church, the me having to de-escalate and go like,
Oh my gosh.
"It's gonna be okay," was the funniest thing of the whole night. And as soon as I got
I just
back
love that
into
she
the
didn't
truck,
believe y'all that it was out of church.
I held it together until I got back into the truck, and then I died laughing.
So you kept it together the entire show.
I shouldn't say kept it
then-
together. I laughed the show. It was very funny. My favorite,
was okay.
my favorite was I think Isaac's line of, "It's so hot here. He's a transplant. This is first summer. We haven't had any rain." And he tells some of his friends after a breeze, he says, "Man, we really needed that wind." I think I was the only one that laughed at that, but I laughed pretty hard.
The new stuff that he tried out was so good. And it's
He was
all
great.
like very, very. And
Kristen
like,
was too. They're
like
a
I
little
wanted,
duo.
I want to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it because it's their stuff. Go check out their witty comedy
look,
stuff.
I don't
because
think-
a lot of it's already
I
showing
don't
up on
think I'm
TikTok
ruining his
and on,
special with the wind joke.
No. But there are you aren't. But there are other things that I like really like.
Oh,
that
for sure.
were
You
some
want
thinkers.
to go
Like
point
the-
by point, or
the
go
thing
over
about
there.
the phone.
Yeah.
Right, really good, and like the way that they put it together was great. But
Bob-
they've got a
Bob
bunch
was-
of new stuff
Bob
on
was
their
great.
reels and Instagram that y'all should go check out.
Bob Smiley was great.
He was hilarious.
Isaac was my favorite.
I mean, it's hard to top his comedic style and timing for people who grew up in our era,
Yeah.
right? Like he knows exactly how to get people in our demographic and our age range to laugh with,
Apparently,
with
it's a
what
joke
he's got.
about wind.
and
got
and
me.
about being old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the kind of thing that old people say now.
But that's my story. So
Yeah.
if you come drinking with me, be careful. I might take you to church.
So what are we constituting as like drinking?
That was a
It's,
that was a crafted joke.
right
there.
Yeah, handcrafted.
Yeah. That's it. That's the end. That's the
that
end
joke
of the
was
joke. That's the end of the story.
Mixologized by Danny.
It was.
Yeah.
It was tumbled and
Shaken and not stirred.
yep, poured over ice.
So yeah, okay. So there's a thing about the shaken and not stirred stuff. Have you heard this? Do you know about this?
James Bond.
You heard about the shaken and not stirred thing? Why James Bond did it?
I believe I did, but I don't remember why.
Okay,
Refresh my memory.
so it has to do with Christopher Lee, right? The guy who James Bond is based off of. Okay, so
Scaramanga.
yeah, so a
Gold
digger, gold digger.
Gold digger.
So
The man.
when a margarita is stirred, or sorry, not a margarita, when a martini is stirred, all of the parts push together. When it's shaken, they separate, and so
It
when
mixes better is what you're saying.
it mixes better when you stir it. When you shake it, it doesn't mix as well. The different parts of it tend to stay separate and to separate quicker, right? So the reason that he wanted it shaken and not stirred is because he could sip the top of the martini and get like the vermouth and all of the other things that make the bitter flavors, but he wouldn't actually get very much of the alcohol.
But not get the vodka or gin in case he had to shoot somebody.
Mm-hmm. Or while he was gathering information
That's smart.
or anything
or
like that. Yeah.
just playing poker. Like you gotta, you still want to keep your wits about you.
Yeah.
Whether you're a secret agent or not playing poker. If you're
I mean,
playing poker,
especially
poker's
if you're
poker.
playing
Poker, barely know her.
with Galen Urso, that's
Yeah.
going to be really difficult, to top that while he's crying blood and making Death Star plans.
Pretty cool.
Good old Mads.
All right, well,
Have you been
our show.
keeping up with Ahsoka?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay. When
I
are they
saw-
going to introduce Thrawn?
I don't know.
Like, all right,
I
here's
thought
the-
for sure it was going to happen this
This
episode.
is after
We're what,
we're
5?
recording this right after episode 5. So if you haven't seen it yet, like it's your fault. It's been a week. It's a series that's all your spoiler stuffs are covered. Like,
And if you got a problem with that, be careful. I might take you to church.
we're already halfway through the thing, and still no Thrawn. Like,
Yep.
are they showing us in the trailers that show Thrawn the entirety of him in the first season of Ahsoka? Is that what we're gonna get at the end of episode 8? Is
I
just
will
this
say
shot of Thrawn?
I will
Like,
be-
oh, he's back.
I will be mad if that's the case, but fully engaged for the
Oh,
next
yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'll go, fine, you got me. When is it coming out?
Yep. Also, what do you? Because you're not a Star Wars rebel.
I've seen some, but no.
Yeah. So what are?
I got
what do
some
you
of the
think
references.
Of the Purgles?
Jace. Who's Purgles?
The Purgles. They're the big.
The
space
whales.
whales.
Space
yeah,
whales.
yeah.
Well, I saw the episode where they show up. It was one of the ones
in the
that I watched.
cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
like the only episode, I believe, right? Like there's been very little of them actually showing up.
So there's I think 2 or 3 episodes with the Purgles in them. So you've got the first appearance of them in the early seasons, and then there may be 2 episodes of the Purgles at the end, but the very last episode is the one that really brings it all home.
Yeah, they're very cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know
Ahsoka
why
is
they're
in the mouth of a
I don't know
Purgles.
why they're attracted to her other than the Force. I guess is the.
So it's the. They're,
Don't say midichlorians.
No. Gosh, no. Are you talking about attracted to her in the sense of like she was able to go and communicate with it?
Yeah.
That's something that they explore in Rebels a little bit, and it's done a little bit also in the Clone Wars series. Is that through the Force you can have some communication with critters. So that was a big one she talked to, though.
But yeah,
It
very
was
cool.
a big critter.
It was very cool. It did seem like an easy writing solution of how are they going to find Thrawn. It's like, oh, well, let's get some whales to come. The Jedi will talk to her, and they'll take her to Thrawn.
Well, if you remember back in the it had to have been the Mandalorian, right? When she goes and she finds this lady, she fights him in season 2?
Okay.
She captures the lady who escapes in the very first episode of Ahsoka. That lady is looking for Thrawn, and so she has gone, because the Purgles follow the same migration routes, she went to the place where she knows that they convene, and that's where she discovered that not only do they follow the same migration routes, but also that the
Thrawn does
Jedi,
too.
the Jedi used them as transportation, or their migration routes as hyperspace lanes for a long time. So it is, on the one hand, it's like the convenient thing, but it's also like Ahsoka said, like, I don't know that this is going to be the right one. Like we could be going somewhere into space along their
They
migration
could
routes.
take her to some really
Yeah.
sweet krill.
Hu
Space
Yang,
krill. David Tennant.
the robot. Yeah. What do you think about Doctor Who being Hu Yang?
I love David Tennant.
Yeah.
Yeah. The character's cool.
It just seems weird to me. Why you need that guy as vocal talent when you're going to modulate his voice and make him a robot? Like, is this one of those things where
I know, but I
because
love
he's
him.
got star power, he gets to be in Star Wars?
I don't know, but
Because there are a lot of folks that are like that,
They
right?
need to add Matt Berry to somebody.
Oh my gosh! Please no. I don't need Matt Berry in Star Wars. I don't. There's 2 people I don't need in Star Wars: Matt Berry and Taika Waititi. I need them.
Yeah, I don't care about Taika.
them out. So
Matt Berry is actually funny.
I can't think of a character that they could bring him in.
Yeah, I don't know.
As
I don't know, but it would be great.
he would have to be an alien.
He'd have to be comedic relief too, because he's
Yeah, like,
he's
you could
kind of
use him-
incapable of
You could use him in one of the cartoons.
just playing straight.
Yeah. Yeah, his characters are always insane.
You're in Tucson, Arizona. He's got this ridiculous
which doesn't
delivery.
exist in Star Wars.
Yeah, I know. I stole that from What We Do in the Shadows.
How would he say Kashyyyk?
Kashyyyk? No, some
It's
crazy
probably close,
pronunciation
yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great.
Matt Berry or Ahsoka is great. Or are you both ending?
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Ahsoka's great. I'm very much enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Hayden Christensen's return. He did a
Yeah. Oh
great
man,
job.
it was so good. And the flash
good.
between like Anakin and Darth,
Which is what I
and
knew
going
would
back
happen.
and forth.
Because she says this is the only thing you got, and I went, no, he's got the dark side.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There was something.
He's got more.
There was something that kind of irritated me about those flashbacks and those scenes. So Ahsoka's now got white lightsabers.
Yeah.
And the reason that she is, I think you can see it in Tales of the Jedi, but it's also in E.K. Johnston's book about Ahsoka. She left her original green lightsabers behind when she left the Jedi Order, and then ended up reconstructing new lightsabers out of a Sith's kyber crystals that she purified. So she's the only person we know of that has white lightsabers. So like the lightsaber goes from blue to green or whatever. When you make the lightsaber bleed because of the dark side of the Force, she purified them. Now they turned white. You've got her in the flashback when she's really young Ahsoka. She's got the single green lightsaber when they're at this whatever battle of the Clone Wars. Then when she's fighting Anakin and she's supposed to be a little older, she has two white lightsabers with the old hilts. And this is where I've dived down like the super nerdy stuff. Old hilts, white lightsabers.
Yeah.
So
She shouldn't have them in that combination.
right, it shouldn't be in that combination. But again, like because it's a dream sequence, it's this world between worlds. Like there's all kinds of like shifting
it's
and
a
weird
dream.
and weird melding stuff. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, on the
It's
like
a dream.
those should be green.
Space whales.
Yeah.
White.
Yeah, right.
White
Like it's certainly
lightsaber.
like this suspended reality stuff, but it is one of those where I'm like, all right, are they trying to show us like how off this is in the dream sequence? Because Dave Filoni doesn't miss any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's all very intentional. Like each one of those things is him like trying to communicate something.
Well, then we'll go with he's got a plan for this.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Right.
Just like
But that's the kind of stuff that for me is
The
like
doctor
fun
from
to look
Doctor
at. Is to look at that and be like, okay, this would not be a continuity issue that would be missed. So is this him like trying to communicate like, okay, she's at this part where she's a little bit more mature, but now she's also kind of starting to figure out where she's at mentally, that she is kind of in this new place, and you're seeing the transition. Because there's just a lot of stuff like that that's very, I would say subtle. Like that's the right way to put it. Very subtle in order to try to make transitions a little easier. Are you on call?
Just like you. No,
right
I'm
now?
actually pulling up.
Are you pulling up the song from Dumb and Dumber that you couldn't find whenever
Yeah,
we were looking
yeah.
before the thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Keep going. I'm trying to find something.
yeah, well, I made my point. Dave Fioni's subtle. All right, Dan, your turn. So one of the things that's been really weird about the show recently is that there have been a couple of episodes that you haven't been a part of.
Yep.
One of which was our interview with Costi Hen, which I will say, have you had the chance to listen to the whole thing?
No.
Okay, so
I started to today.
yeah, so Costi's a really fascinating guy. Our experience with the whole hen stuff was really weird. Did you know that when we were growing up that Costi was actually in Dallas playing for Dallas Baptist University when he was still like buying into all of the false teaching stuff?
No, but that doesn't surprise me.
It kind of
Benny
checks out.
was Euless, if I'm remembering where his big campus was.
So Euless was where it wasn't where he was. Euless was where the TV station was that hosted a lot of his.
That's what
a lot of
Daystar
his stuff
or whatever.
No, TBN was the big one.
They're all the same.
The Big Hair Network.
They're all the same.
I want to argue, but I can't.
Yeah.
So this would have been probably 03, 04, right? I was working with Team Impact, and we were invited to a banquet because Team Impact was on late night on TBN.
Yeah. Because they had no problem selling out.
Nope. Where he was, selling out arenas and their souls. I just want to make sure everybody caught both sides of that.
Yep.
He was one of the keynote speakers of this banquet, and there was like a lot of internal, like, oh, what
Did
do
he
we
try
do?
to?
Do we
Did he
go? Do we
try
not
to
go, or
slay
whatever?
Greg Lewis in the spirit?
No, certainly
That
not.
would have been hilarious.
I think he would have.
Walked
he
up
would
and
have
smacked
stopped.
Greg Lewis on the chest, and he would just punched him in the face.
I don't know if you, because for Greg, where would you need to smack Greg in order that he would
don't
get the
know.
healing that he needs?
I don't know, but I just want to see that.
It would definitely be for Greg. It would have to be smacked in the head.
Did you just do that to me?
Yeah, or in the throat, so that you could fix his vocal cords.
Yeah. This is the former team.
You
team
can check
teamer.
out Greg on one of our earliest episodes, Christian
Greg
called Evil.
Lewis.
Which is a nickname that we made up for him, like on the spot that afternoon. I talked to him. I texted him. I texted him the other day. He texted me the other day because he's running like the HR department for some private
I
schools.
remember that cracked me up that
And it
he's
was
in
like
HR.
Like, what are you gonna do if you get called into?
Your skirt is too short.
Like, okay, well,
Can't have that around here.
let's say you're one of
You're
these.
gonna get written up.
You're a guy who.
Dude, I would be terrified to bring him problems.
Okay, right? Like that's exactly right. Like every woman in their corporate structure has to feel like so protected, and every guy has to just be like intimidated that they've got to go in.
He's sitting like Mr. Incredible in a little cubicle.
Just like all scrunched up.
Christy, we have to talk.
Yeah, he starts breathing, and the button at the top of his collar just flies across, hits the water cooler. I didn't realize that's how he laughed.
He does.
Poor Greg. You know who we haven't
Greg is
talked to?
awesome.
You know who we haven't talked to?
Look,
I'm just saying.
This is out of love that I'm making fun of him. He's awesome. It's always easy to say. I shot that guy out of love.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, Greg's a good.
I stole that guy's money because I love him. He's a great guy.
Randall wants to come back on. He hasn't been on in a while. And Randall, I think, had
Randall
one
the
of
Bear Harris.
Randall the Bear Harris. Randall told some stories on an old. I mean, this is like year one stuff.
Yeah, and we lost it.
Which is no, I've got it.
Okay.
I've got it. Camden, actually, I handed him this afternoon. I handed him this hard drive, and I was like, "You have to be careful with this." And he's like, "Why does it not work?" Or something. It's like, "No, this has every single episode of the Rev and Rep on it. That everyone that we've ever done, including the ones that are no longer."
If you break it, we will send you to.
Yeah,
Greg
I was like,
Lewis.
it's like made out of gold. So
Camden, come here. We gotta talk about.
yeah, he'll talk to Greg Lewis, and then we'll send him to be Shark Tanked with Ron Waterman.
We're gonna send you on 2 days PTO.
Yeah. No, it would not be PTO.
Unpaid PTO.
Yeah. Unpaid paid time off. Well, I guess we could, since he's an unpaid intern, it could be PTO. We can just give him the same thing we're giving him
like,
now.
You're paying me to go home?
So,
so
this is so great. So, where was Randall. So Randall's on one of the very first episodes. And as I'm like going through, so we've come to the end of year 3. Like this is the beginning of year 4 of the Reverend and the Reprobate. Now we're on with the Christian HQ network that we've had the pleasure of starting and kicking off with the Tatooine Sons and the Christian Nerds Unite podcast and Splashley Cox from Fangrilling Over Jesus. And so we've had the opportunity to do a lot of that stuff. And like looking back on the people that we've talked to, one of the things that's really kind of blown me away is the friendships that we've made along the way. Like particularly like looking at like the Whitties, right?
Yeah.
Because we knew of Kristen, and a couple of people had told us that we should interview her. We interviewed Kristen, and then like a year later, she's like, "Oh, you need to interview my fiance. He's really funny." And we're like, "All right, whatever." And it turns out like, yeah, he's probably one of our favorite comedians right now because he is.
Yeah, he's
is really funny. So like looking back on the last 3 years of what we've done so far, what do you think are like maybe your one or two big standout moments?
Oh, moments, not just interviews.
Yeah, not just interviews, like the big like standout moments.
Well, I'll just do number 1.
Yeah.
Leanne Morgan calling us yummy. I will continue to scoreboard.
We might have to walk back anything other than the interview with Leanne Morgan.
Yeah.
But definitely that's a continued scoreboard for you.
She said we're yummy.
She did. Yep.
That's it. That's the best.
That's the best. All right. So what else would be? What
There's
is
a lot,
if you're gonna put Leanne Morgan as number 1, right? Then tier 2 is empty. What happens? What happens in tier 3?
Michael Uslan's probably my next
I would think
favorite.
so. Yeah.
And there's many great moments. There's so many great moments. And I mean, he told so many stories that we did not have time to delve into all of them because he kept telling more stories.
Yep. Which he has said, I'd love to come back on and chat. And
the owner of Batman.
Yep. And we've got,
and not just that, but the reason that we have, really the reason that we have Batman.
The reason we have superhero movies
in mainstream and versus just living in a comic book.
Yeah, I think you can attribute him and Tim Burton to the reason that we have serious superhero movies right now.
Yep.
Even though they have departed in some regard from, what that 1989 Batman was, it's certainly not the pow zap wham of the 60s. And so that was a lot of fun. He has said that he wants to come back on the show because he's got new stuff to promote.
There's so many honorable mentions that, dude, they're just
which guest do you think we can pull something else out of?
Victor Dweck.
Okay, why?
Because he's hilarious.
When?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, me either. That's the problem.
Wait. I thought you were saying...
Nobody knows when he's been hilarious.
When does he come back on?
No, yeah.
When was he hilarious was 8 years ago in YouTube videos.
Yeah,
no, and that's not true. He's doing stand-up.
Okay, so...
I think he's genuinely hilarious.
Some of his stand-up stuff that's come out, I will say not safe for work stuff, but you can tell that he's working. He's getting used to working in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
And doing.
I mean,
some
he's not
stuff
doing
that's
stand up in
interesting
churches. He's doing it in comedy clubs in New York and.
Yeah, but not everybody that's doing
that
comedy
doesn't
clubs.
that doesn't give a license to just do whatever you want.
Sure.
But I'm saying he's doing the right place.
Yeah.
At
Well,
least.
Yeah. But okay. But who else do you think other than Vic?
Who else do we have more to pull out of?
Yeah. Who else do you think we could get more from? Like, we would exclude guys like Michael Uslan who are going to be like encyclopedias of stuff.
Man, I don't know.
Right. And David Baker, who we can just like say, "Hey, Dave," and then just
He's
listen to him
always got
talk
something
for
good
a
going
couple
on.
hours. Who the new
Reiner
season
would be
of
cool.
Forged in Fire starts in October.
Reiner, I'd put in that category too. Mike Reiner, he's got 40 years of broadcast experience.
And there's so much right now.
Yeah.
So the year one of the Freak has happened. They've had their anniversary, or they're about to have their anniversary, which is really exciting stuff. And right before their anniversary, they did a whole shakeup on all the shows. So like the downbeat is now in the morning, but the downbeat is no longer with Mike. It's Danny and Soroy, and then Reiner's in the afternoon with Julie and a couple of others now. So it's weird. And Reiner's now on the speakeasy, and the downbeat is Danny and Mike in the morning. So they've done some shuffling around, and I have to say one thing about Mike Reiner that's consistently impressive is he, no matter who you put him with, whether it was Grego or the other guys on the hard line, whether it was the guys on the downbeat or the speakeasy or us, he elevates the game of everybody around him and makes him better. I would put him in that category. I think he's one that we could definitely get some more stuff out of.
He's Element X. You add it to anything and it makes it.
That makes it better.
Does it give him mutant powers or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. What about you? What do you think? Because there's so many, and I'm grateful for everyone that came on.
I think for me, the biggest moment in the last few years was telling Levi's story, right? Because that was one that was really tough. It was filled with like a lot of, obviously a lot of emotion. But also I think in regards to the podcast, it's probably one where we were able to peel back the curtain on like what's actually going on in our lives the best. And on top of that, really the feedback that I've gotten since that episode aired from other people who have had kids in the NICU, from nurses in the NICU who have shared that with other parents that were in the NICU that we were in. And for so many of people we know that like had a friend who's got a NICU baby, and they're like, I didn't know what to do, so I just shared that episode with them from your podcast, and I really gave them a lot of comfort and let them know about, God's grace and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you don't have to be scared about all this stuff. Like all of that was very encouraging on the back end of it, because that was not only was it like a trying thing, but it was a difficult story to tell without like just completely being like overcome by all of the things that happened. And especially, going back through the timeline, there were so many things that happened that we didn't talk about and didn't get to in that episode, because every day it seemed like there was something else that was, that was going to happen. Yeah. So, so that one, I think that in the last few years, that was a highlight moment for me, because getting to that episode meant that he was out and he was okay. So that was really cool. I really loved our takeover of Ricky's show last year. Right? Like that's one I don't think of very often. But that to me is such a cool and such a special thing, because even though it wasn't our show, it wasn't our podcast, they were all our relationships. Right. It was, it was Ashley, and it was Doug Tenaple and Ethan Nicole, and David was on for a little bit. And then we had the breaking news to good news with Charles Spurgeon, like all of those things.
He's crammed in a whole bunch of stuff that hopefully would make him smile.
Right.
And know that we cared about him.
And it was all about like
pranking all of our friends.
Yeah. Right. Like us getting to do a bunch of fun stuff.
Us bringing on Ashley's fan and then hanging up on her. Sorry, that was
making Ashley cry.
Sorry, that was getting boring for us.
Yeah. So
I will always remember that line. That was getting a little boring for us.
Yeah, it was. That was so much. That was so much fun.
Horrified look on Ashley's face.
Oh my gosh, she was
hung up
mortified.
on her friend that was saying it.
Speaking of, so one of the other big ones for me is really early on, and this is something that I don't know that we've really talked about, other than our wives think that we're bullies.
Yeah.
April Metzler from like We United, or I forget the name of her show.
Fangirling Over United.
Fangirling Over United. So April just posted like a memory from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the memory was of us taking over her show, because we used to record on Tuesday nights, and we had a friend who came out with a book. And we noticed really early on that this friend who came out with this book he kind of had like Ron Burgundy syndrome, that like whatever we typed, he would read and take seriously. I don't think we can keep that, but
take it off.
Yeah. So
do whatever you gotta do.
But I don't know that, first off, I don't know that is his diagnosis. I certainly don't think that we can diagnose that.
You're like, I don't know how to go from here.
Well, I'm more concerned about the fact that you're getting out of the shot, because you do this thing that's like about halfway through the episode,
I start getting comfy.
Danley decides he's Kevin France and just leans all the way back.
You know what? I'm not comfy wumpy right now. So I'm gonna fix that.
And there's a reference to somebody nobody's gonna know about.
Yeah. So we do a takeover on April's show where she's.
So it starts with us.
Did she have an agenda on that show?
Oh, for sure. It started with us commenting on this guy's book that was being released. And he was doing the launch of his book, and then we just typed in some really simple things like, "Hey, we can't hear you," which was not true. And so he thought stuff was wrong, and so he like takes his video down. But since we can hear him try to fix his audio, and as he's singing to himself, and then, like I said, like everything that we typed, he just read. And whenever we realized that he was going to do that, we had like a half hour before our show started. Our guest was running a little late. Yeah, so that's how we entertained ourselves for that entire time. Well, the next night...
It was very funny.
Yes.
Our wives both did think it was mean.
They did not give it glowing reviews.
But they're dumb girls, so who cares?
We do. We care a little bit.
Cut that too.
Yeah, no. I'll leave that in, as Danley's opinions are all his own.
Yeah, I don't care.
So the
I've been married 15 years. Dude.
Yeah,
we're good.
So the next night we get this asked to be on his pop-up interview, And in the pop-up interview, this person like tells us that it's just going to, she was like, yeah, I want you guys to come on. So we kind of rearrange our schedule so that we can come on this pop-up interview. We come on the interview when we're in these, if you haven't been on like StreamYard or something like that before, there's this kind of like green room that you go into right before the show starts. And, you know, they kind of give you the production elements of it and you can bring on surprise guests and all this stuff. So we end up in this room and she's like, hey, watch your stuff with our mutual acquaintance. It was very funny. I think you'll need to apologize. And we were like, what?
I think I started
This
laughing.
is like our kind of humor. And then he shows up in the green room and we go live like 10 seconds later. Well, when we went live, we had the countdown. And because she didn't immediately jump in, I did.
Yeah, you did. It was great.
And then we took over her show for like
You launched into our intro.
like a half hour. Oh yeah, welcome to the show.
It was just riff-tastic is what that was.
It was a blast. Another one of those. Like, even though our wives don't appreciate it, certainly one of the highlights of the podcasting stuff for me was that, looking back on it.
Again, I got to reference, girls don't always get it.
The two
They
that
don't
we were
know-
married to
I wouldn't say get it. I would say appreciate it.
Yeah. So they got it. And so did we afterwards, like complete earfuls. I think Kirsten and I had been married for like 7 months whenever that happened. And she was like, this is not what I was getting into. And I was like, actually, yeah, you stepped into this with both feet.
And I told Heather and she was like, at least it wasn't me.
So yeah, those are some highlights. As far as like guests, I think we can still go back to, and like there's where there are deep wells.
Yeah.
Tom Leopold's got to be one of my top, because every time we talk to him, there's another name that drops and another project he's working on.
I mean, again, he just put out the most insane video. If you haven't seen it, you've got to go look. Of him and Paul Schaefer in a candy shop. It's like and I gotta say, like,
yeah. We've talked about this.
The video production is not great. Like, everything seems like they were just in a candy shop together.
Yeah.
And he dresses up as Willy Wonka and he's doing a dance and he falls over into a stand of candy bars and Paul Schaefer's standing there, I think with an accordion or something. He's playing something. I don't remember what it is. It doesn't really matter. It's him and Paul Schaefer in a candy shop, and Tom Leopold is just falling down.
Yeah.
And that's really it. And it's kind of brilliant.
Tom Leopold in general is pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
But and hanging out at his age with Paul Schaefer,
His best bud.
yeah, is pretty awesome that they're, both trying to make insurance claims on candy shops. But yeah, I think that's a well I think that we can constantly go
Jewish.
to that will just turn out.
You're like, I hate that I'm going to have to edit this.
Yeah,
so
killer
much.
content.
Mark.
There's somebody that I think we should have back on, and that's Ryan Winders. Because Winders, even though he's like nobody that anyone knows on our end, I do think he's one of those that the wells would go really deep. My favorite all-time person that I wish so much we could talk to and get more stuff from is Alice.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I'm glad
I stumbled across a video, and there is a if we ever have a Patreon channel, this will be behind the highest paywall. There will be this video of probably our first month of doing
We can just say
actual
his
video.
name.
Yeah, so his name was Don.
Don Hilliard.
We called him Alice because he did not want to be known. He was going to be our conspiracy
He was
theory
nervous,
guy.
number one.
Yep.
Very into conspiracies. He was very
Yeah.
excited to come on, but
Yeah, and
he didn't know what to do. And
so the very first time we had him on, our recording stuff didn't work. We were still trying to figure it all out, but he did amazing.
yeah, he got real in depth
He
on
was
a lot of things.
so good. The second time we had him on, he got nervous, and
I think his conspiracy theories kicked in. He thought when I told him that the footage was lost, it wasn't working, that he thought I didn't do a good job.
yeah, instead
got
of
into his head.
that I didn't push the right
And
buttons.
he got into his head and he got insanely drunk.
Yep, he did. And started asking us questions that your doctor should only ask you after about the age of 45.
Yeah. It was great.
It was
hilarious. It was completely unusable.
So funny.
It was completely unusable for our purposes.
Yeah, I remember he said, some people say the camera puts on 10 pounds, but for you guys, it looks like it's about 50 pounds, and you got to be using 4 cameras. It's like, what? Wow.
Yeah, that was great. And
he passed away.
He passed a couple years ago,
which is a bummer.
Yeah,
because I would have loved, and we had talked about like, all right, let's figure out a way to do this, and and then him passing away. That was heartbreaking. He's somebody I really wish we could have gotten back on.
Yeah.
Have you? I know we had talked about at one point you sharing that footage with his family. Did you ever? Yeah.
Yeah. And I met his mom at that party.
Mm-hmm.
Or it wasn't a party. It was the wake.
Yeah.
But like it was at his house. They were having a great time. They were celebrating him. So that's why I say party. But I told her the story, and she was crying, but she was also laughing hysterically. She loved it.
Yep.
So
he was a great dude. And even though it would have been a nightmare to edit every episode he was in, I would have absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So he's one. And the episode I think we need to do again is with our wives.
Yeah.
That is one of our consistently most watched and most downloaded episodes.
Is the wife episode.
The wife episode will go through this period where it's like it gets nothing, and then for like 2 or 3 months in a row, it's like up in our top 5 most downloaded. And I think what happens is that like we'll get somebody, or we'll find a couple of people that like the show, and they're telling their friends about it, and they're in the car. This is how I imagine this goes. They're in the car with their wife, and their wife's like, these guys are idiots. And they're like, well, look through, just find one that you want. I want to listen to them. And then they go, wife episode, boom. Yeah. And that's it. And they get to hear firsthand how difficult it is to wrangle us. And I think the wives of the guys that listen to us can relate to those,
I'm
ladies.
in, because I think this next round would be even more rambunctious.
Oh, for sure. Right? Because they're going to be more comfortable behind the camera. Right? But also, but Kirsten's a mom now.
And the older I get, the less I'm caring.
Yeah, well, Kirsten's a mom now. Heather's got a high schooler. Yep. There's a lot of changes and shifts that have happened in life and lifestyle. Lockdowns are all over, at least in Texas where we're at.
Yeah.
That'd be a blast.
Maybe I'll take Andrea out for some margaritas and tell her we're going to go record and bring her here again.
There you go. I do think there is one thing that I think we need to talk about.
Okay.
Camden's learning how to play the guitar.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
So I think, and Tina, you can tell us if this is a good idea or not. I think what we need to do is we need to get progress reports via YouTube Shorts from Camden. But I want him to learn how to play Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Then we'll just tag grooves in all of them.
Cool.
Yep.
I can teach you how to play it.
Cool.
Or at least part of it. From what I remember from 15 years ago.
Well, that's all we've got. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being here for, 3 years plus of the Reverend and the Reprobate. We got more great guests coming to y'all this year. Make sure to like, subscribe, ding the little bell, do all of that stuff because, hey, we're monetized now. So anytime you like one of our YouTube shorts, whenever they come out, that means we get a little change in our pocket going jing-a-lang-a-lang.
Yeah.
So check that stuff out. Thanks so much for supporting the show.
If you want to support us monetarily, just take a $1 bill and roll it up
and just
stick it into the USB.
Right into the USB drive.
And we will get it.
As long as you're watching our video, that money actually faxes straight to our wallets.
Yep.
So there you go.
And we only have one strike on YouTube. That's not bad.
No, it got expunged.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
we're no strikes
I'm still
now.
counting it.
We've only ever had
it
one
makes
strike.
me feel cool to have a strike on YouTube.
Danley's got a strike on YouTube.
Yeah.
If we keep in one line that we've edited out about whether or not the person that we interviewed has a condition that we are not qualified to diagnose. You'll stay here to keep jamming, and we'll see you.
Probably not wrong, though.